This is a message from your guides reading for Human Angel. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and surround us in some protective space. Definitely feeling with the crown chakra, like there's definitely an intention to close it, I feel like. So I definitely feel like your guides are acknowledging that. That's it does seem more closed. Something going on with the solar plexus as well. I feel like a lot of energy has actually left the solar plexus. I feel like even a thought form or maybe multiple ones have left that area. And I feel like your guides tend to seal you after. I still feel like that's a good thing to ask them to do, because I feel like you are like doing a lot of clearing where it feels like it's actually working, like it's starting to manifest, where there are actually thought forms leaving. There's always been a lot of energy leaving, and energy getting more balanced, it feels like. um, Chakras becoming more aligned, but I feel like you're getting to deeper things now, where there are actual thought forms that you've even had for a long time that are starting to surface, they're starting to leave. So some of those things for deep clearing like that, it just takes a little bit of time. So I feel like you've been at this for a while, and there's been a lot of shifts and things that are happening. You know, there's been, like they were saying, there's been chakras coming more into alignment. So your energy is getting more aligned, your energy centers are getting more aligned, and you're getting cleared just of energies, like stale energies and things. Because I also feel just like you've been even just getting your energy really moving and flowing, and you're using your gifts in a proper way. So it feels like deeper things just took a little bit more time. And even like it takes like continued intention. I feel like as you get better at using your gift though in this way, I feel like you'll start to manifest things much more instantaneously, where you just clear things a lot more easily. And your guides are saying there's some kind of specific gift with this as well, even that you could use to help others, which I don't really feel like has come up in the readings yet in the clearest way, because I almost feel like you don't need it to yet. Right now, it's like you're learning how to improve your own life and your own emotional space and your own healing process with your abilities, and figure out what they are and how to use them before you get into almost more advanced things, where you can even help shift things in a different way for other people. But it feels like a different kind of gift or ability. Even this one, it feels linked to this one, but even this one, I don't think I'm pretty sure I've never even read someone where this specific ability like this came up in this exact way. So there are a lot of different psychic abilities, and it's like on Earth we only have specific ones that we almost like primarily use in almost like a conscious way. Um, Not that most people are conscious of them, but I mean like spiritual people who are into these kind of topics. It's like we only really write about certain ones or know about certain ones. Okay, so the human angel thing, because that was one of your questions in your email. I don't know if I should get into these. I have 8 crystals here. I never choose this many normally. Um, I have so many different chakras. I've got throat chakra, I have 2 heart chakras, I have my Shattuckite, which I seem to use frequently in your readings. I have my lapis lazuli for heart. And then I have my Tektite here for absorbing negative energies, releasing them. I have my sunstone, which is like solar plexus, and sacral. So a whole lot of different ones here. And then I have my selenite here, and I have my quartz wand as well. So a couple of wands here, which means a lot of clearing going on. I feel like it also kind of indicates that there are a lot of different chakras as well, a lot of different areas that are being cleansed. Okay, so anyway, the human angel thing. No, angels actually do incarnate. Angels actually can incarnate. Obviously, not every angel incarnates. I mean, not every soul obviously incarnates as a human, no matter what being type they are or whatever. But all souls are kind of neutral. You can incarnate as anything. You can become an angel, you can become a human, you can be a horse, you can be a flying monkey, you can really be anything. It depends on how you want to learn, how you want to grow, how you want to explore. And angels are a being type. So they're not really more special, they're not. They can, in some ways, be, I guess you could say, more evolved. Even that really has to do with the soul, though, what it is learning. But I would say that perspective, it definitely gives you an angle on things that human beings don't really have. But then the soul could turn around and be a human, and they might not really know as much. When they lose that perspective. So it really, it's for the soul's growth. Now you can have that as your being type, just in the same type of way like a star seed has an origin. So you might have like a fairy soul type, and this is what your soul, it's almost like the essence in a sense that it chooses. That's what it really chooses to identify with, you could say. Just for what it is, for its capacity to grow, what it wants to explore, how it wants to improve, and just overall what it wants to bring through. But actually, I have definitely encountered human angels before. Obviously, with readings, I have encountered that. I would say I've encountered star seeds more often, but that isn't even necessarily because the being type is more rare. I'm not really sure. I don't mean the being type, but I mean them incarnating as a human. I'm not really sure. It could just be because more star seeds are attracted to our stuff. I'm not really sure. But I have read a fair amount of human angels. I've met a human angel in person. I didn't really know them very well, but I just very much spotted them as a human angel because it literally felt like if a presence came in the room when, like at first, when you're kind of amateur with mediumship, when you're not as advanced, all kind of presences pretty much feel the same. And then you get kind of where you're able to tell, okay, this is more positive, this is more negative. But then, at least for me anyway, then I started being able to point out more, okay, no, this is specifically a fairy, this is this, this is that. So the way that an angel exactly feels, this a literal person, a woman, walked into the store, and I literally am feeling that exact same thing, that same like vibration, like there's an angel standing there, and I turn and it's a lady walking around, which I don't even think she even knew that she was what you would call a human angel. So like an angel choosing to incarnate this way, I don't think she even realized that. It definitely didn't mean that she didn't have any kind of blocks or issues to get through. So it's just a type of soul that chooses to incarnate here the same way that a starseed or a fairy can choose to incarnate here, and just bring a higher energy in to help the earth with something. Obviously, you can lose that as well. Your vibration can definitely be bombarded here on Earth. You can have lessons that you choose to explore, or that you just need to learn. You can get caught up in karma, in the same way that really any other soul type can. Okay, so I have a guide coming up. Obviously, your guides have been here the whole time, but now I have a specific one coming up. She definitely feels female. So definitely angelic, definitely female. Your guides don't always really reveal themselves in a way where they're speaking that much about who they are or kind of making themselves really present during a reading. So the landlord thing, I feel like the landlord thing is going to get cleared up. I also feel like it has to do with you setting boundaries. Because there's kind of a feeling like you only go so far with people, you don't want to upset them. And it almost feels like you kind of want to stay in the shadows a lot of the time, and that you don't really like confrontations. You don't like the idea of being attacked, it feels like. Okay, which, yeah, they're saying that has to do with past lives where you were attacked, so that is kind of understandable. But that's more what it's coming from, is past lifetimes where you were attacked. So this is going to get clear, but I feel like it's an opportunity for you to kind of be in your presence more and set boundaries more, set boundaries better. I even feel like that is the reason that you are even in the job that you are in. I feel like it has to do with you setting boundaries. The idea that you don't really like to set them, or you feel like you're going to be attacked. Even with family as well, it feels like. There's kind of a feeling of being alone and being separate. Um, but the strange thing is, you would feel like you could have more of a connection if it were a healthy one with boundaries that were set in place and people just weren't able to cross them. Then you could actually feel like you could have a healthier relationship. You could feel like there was more of a real connection there, where there were established boundaries. So a lot of this has to do with boundary setting, and I'm feeling like that's also why I pulled the throat chakra crystal. So that means that some of this is a throat chakra issue, but I'm feeling the heart chakra as well. So some of this feels like a lack of love or a lack of understanding, kind of confusion as to where to kind of place yourself or where you stand, um, and almost choosing to allow people to kind of direct that or show that however they're going to. And the problem with that, though, is that then they can choose whether or not to kind of walk all over you. They can choose whether or not to attack you. Even though the reason that the boundaries aren't set has to do with a fear of attack. Even it feels like a fear of losing something, fear of loss is something that your guides are bringing up. But that has to do with yourself. Again, like past lifetimes. Like it felt almost like you weren't safe anymore. So there was protection that you lost. Harm came to you in some way, so it felt like um, losing something, like losing your life or um, losing the life that you had, in the sense that you're not able to live in the same way that you would have preferred, or you're not able to do the same things that you had been doing. There are limits now on what you're able to do because of how you are being attacked by others or even ridiculed by others, it feels like. So it feels like there's a lot of fears when it comes to other people, but it also feels like they're deep in your subconscious. You're not always aware of them, but I do feel like sometimes they kind of rear up where they are definitely much more noticeable. But then other times they're kind of in the background and they're directing things, but they're subconscious, so you're not even necessarily aware that that's the motivation behind it, or behind why you are even attracting certain things out of others. But I feel like if you were really good at setting boundaries, you wouldn't allow yourself to be content with certain things, and it honestly feels like you wouldn't be at this job at all. Um, it doesn't really feel like you're supposed to stay there. Like, even now, it feels like, and it hasn't for a little while. Like, even in the last couple of readings, I remember I was kind of feeling this, like, why are you at this job right now? Because I know that it's like you kind of can't let go of this job right now, but I feel like once more is cleared, you're automatically going to. Because it feels like what is keeping you there, it's not like some lesson that needs to be learned in the way of you're there for a reason. And it's good that you're staying there, even if it's like kind of a negative, in a sense, lesson that needs to be learned. You're learning it and then you're going to break out of it. It doesn't really feel like that. It feels more like something negative is holding you there. And once you are released from that, you'll just have the confidence to set boundaries, not be content with certain things. And I feel like that's just going to include leaving this job. So it feels like it's temporary, very temporary even. It feels like you're going to find another job and leave this one. You're going to be much happier at the other job, um, or happier anyway. And I feel like you're going to eventually find the right place where you're going to settle as far as career goes, for a while before you probably kind of drastically change whatever you're going to be doing, which I don't even feel like you would know yet what that is. I feel like your path has to kind of take you there, and then that'll end up kind of being revealed on its own, is what it feels like. But I don't even feel like right now, where you are right now, you could even know where that's going to be, or where where your whole path is going to end up leading you. So that's just the whole journey thing, where we don't know where we're going to end up or what we're necessarily going to be doing. Just in the same way as when I was a born again Christian, nobody could have told me that, 10 years later I was going to be channeling a bunch of aliens and doing any of this. Even though I had psychic abilities and I was using them, still nobody could have told me that that was even really what they were, or that I was going to be using them in this way. Definitely not. So it feels like it's just something that right now you wouldn't even necessarily kind of have the capacity, in a sense, to think of, or in other words, like capacity as in taking in everything of where your life is right now. You wouldn't necessarily be able to conclude wherever you're going to end up. So boundary setting is a really important thing. I would get like a throat chakra stone that you can wear here. And I feel like you are going to need to charge it with an intent. But I also feel like there are other things along with that that you would have to do, because that's kind of a small thing to do. And I feel like this is kind of a big thing that needs to be cleared. Some of it is going to be cleared with actions and kind of stepping out of your comfort zone a little bit, and making sure that you're taken care of, and making sure that certain boundaries are set when you can clearly see that someone is crossing your boundary line. You've tended in the past to allow people to do that and almost kind of not know what to do. Kind of feel like there isn't really anything that you can do about that, or kind of powerless in a sense. And it feels like that was just coming from a place of fear, and specifically due to these past lives that you have had. And I also feel like there are certain like abilities that you have metaphysically that almost can't fully surface, or the potential is there, but they can't really fully manifest yet, even due to these fears, because in these past lives, it was a lot of times those abilities, not always, but the majority of the time, it was these abilities, it was psychic abilities that you had that would produce these attacks, whatever kind of attacks from people, in various ways. So it feels like for your abilities to all really manifest all the way, you have to remove a lot of this fear. So some of it is setting boundaries, and speaking out, speaking up, like against certain things, and setting certain boundaries and making sure that people don't cross them. Also letting go. And when you're able to, and obviously these are all suggestions, take your time, go with what you intuitively feel. I'm just saying whatever I am intuitively getting, and obviously this is all your choice. But it feels like even putting out applications, once you're feeling more kind of stable and comfortable to do that, which I don't think will happen yet. Especially since you're still settling into this other house where you've moved, and there are other issues there, and other things that have to be taken care of. So I feel like there is going to be a little bit of time. But it does even feel like, in other words, it feels like even if it's a little later on, it feels like that's one of the actions as well that's going to help clear these issues, is even moving from this job, it feels like. So however long all of that takes, that does feel like it's one of the actions that is going to help with clearing this, healing this, removing this. I feel like there's maybe a boss. So obviously you have at least one boss at work, but I don't know, sometimes there's more than one, but there's definitely at least one person who feels like a boss. But there's at least one boss that I feel like you have had a past life with. and they kind of feel male. This person feels kind of male. Now, sometimes obviously, someone can be female and they can just feel really male, or vice versa. Someone can be male and feel really female, and so that can get a little confusing when you're just dealing with an energy that's coming towards you and you're interpreting it. But they do feel male. I don't know. I feel like they're physically male. So this is a male person. This feels like a male person. This isn't just like a masculine energy. It feels like they're in that form specifically. And I don't feel like it was a positive thing. I feel like this person kind of belittled you, looked down on you. I feel like you didn't really get along. But I don't feel like they really attacked you in a past life, other than like verbally and somewhat emotionally. It doesn't really feel like, so it doesn't feel like they're someone that you have huge amounts of karma with. If they were, otherwise, then it might feel more like stay with this job. You need to stay with this job. Because there are things that you are clearing and learning and this and that. No, this feels more like, okay, you've attracted this kind of similar person, similar energy. Maybe you've encountered them before, but it doesn't feel like a big deal, like some huge thing that needs to clear. It actually feels like you can use it, though, to clear other things by leaving this place. Okay, so those are some chakras to work on as well. The heart chakra, the throat chakra, and I think the solar plexus may have come up again. There are obviously a lot of chakras to work on, but the throat and the heart, and then secondary, I would say the solar plexus, when it comes to this boundary setting stuff and this fear of being attacked and releasing those things. So those are some specific things to work on. So our time is up for this reading. I feel like I could just kind of keep going and going. But our time is up for this reading. So thank you so much for allowing me once again to connect with your guides and bring this message through. I truly hope that it benefits you, and I will see you next week for the next one. Namaste.